Okay, so apparently we got some match off, and while I was asleep last night, other people, I guess, think for their entertainment, they were gonna put me in some sort of pairing with somebody I used to know 25 years ago, and we were supposed to have some sort of duel. And I just heard you say the notes didn't match up. This person would not have defeated her. That's what I just heard you say. He would not have defeated. Why did he need to even fucking do that? That wasn't even fucking necessary. You guys spent 25 fucking years playing a fucking game that you apparently weren't even fucking qualified to play. Because now we're in a different situation. Why don't you calibrate this shit correctly? If I'm not mistaken, it was right after I came back from Honduras. May have been before I went to Honduras. I remember sitting at a computer in the house I lived at, or where I lived in Mason Court in San Francisco, and I was doing something on the internet, and I had just finished reading a speech by Rosa Luxemburg discussing her life and her history, but also something she had written specifically. I think you wanted Maya Rayevskaya, but that's not Dunyayevskaya. That's not who you got. It was Rosa Luxemburg, and it was a discussion about right before a particular period historically where she was in disagreement with the other social democrats. She believed what needed to happen was a general strike, that the nation needed to go on strike, and it needed to engage with others in a general strike in order to compel the capitalists to understand that the real productive power was with the people. And what was happening is others were agitating that they should get involved with the war effort, with an understanding, I think, that they could use the war effort to increase their productive capacity and increase their social leverage, with an understanding that at some point later, after they were armed, and after they had laid the material conditions for armed resistance, they'd be in a better position to be able to accomplish political goals. And she was very adamant against this. She was very, very, very significantly against this for not only feminine reasons, right, but for absolutely 100% strategic reasons, which is that there is a currency, there is a form of strength and power that comes with a particular moral comportment. Even in a humanist or secular context, there's a concept of morality. It has to do with acting in accordance with, setting an intention through your engagement that is meant to accrue long term and then can deliver later. But if there is a collective will instead to attempt alliances that allow for compromising on matters of principle for alleged gains regarding material access that is aimed toward armed resistance as opposed to providing the material conditions for meeting the basic productive capacity to provide for all according to their need and to take from all according to their capabilities. That's what you end up investituring and you invest in long term. And that's why I understood. She said we need a general strike, even if we need to suffer. We're going to suffer under war. We're going to suffer. We're going to have to do something anyway. There's going to be a period of time where we are going to be compelled to endure through some form of suffering and misery and repression. But then the question becomes one of to what aim, in what manner. And so I remember I read this and I wrote an email post. It's when I still had Facebook. I put this out on Facebook. Only one person responded to me. Not so ironically, it's the only person I've been able to get a return call from my efforts to recently contact Chicago. He's got a very significant relationship, doesn't he? Probably with the university system in another country. It has nothing to do with what would otherwise be our actual relationship. Somebody else at another level has tried to engineer us and our moments of connecting with each other for ulterior purposes. I don't agree with that. If you guys thought you were going to throw in with some attractive young elite, then at some point would be availed of the advantages of being the cadre in a regime change. I mean, I didn't agree with you then, did I? I didn't agree then when you were trying to make women the human shields, and I don't agree now that you're trying to use your children or other people's children. I'm sorry. I don't want to be mean or bitter, but I can't do that. I can't do that and I won't do that. You know what I'm saying? Because now we have to deal with another situation, which is that prior to the Nazis organizing their camps in other countries and attempting to compel the concedence of heads of state of other countries to assimilating to their plan, there was obviously somebody and people, some buddies in Germany that saw this and knew what was happening. And not only that, they had to witness and see how everybody else around them was acting unreasonably. I'm sorry. There's a part of me, I can't play the victim. This isn't about being boondoggled anymore. This isn't about being deceived. This isn't even about being tortured. There's a sense about me that it's just offensive. That people, again, claiming they have some moral superiority, including in terms of addressing the rest of the world and what it does, seem to think it's okay to lie so blatantly and behave so poorly and engage in such an explicitly and undeniably eugenicist project. I'm just offended at this level. I don't even know how to respond. And I have to know I am not in a proxy theater in another country. I'm not in China. I'm not in Belarus. I'm not in Brazil. I'm right here in the United States. Texas refused to secede as a matter of principle. I am in a state in the United States. We, as a country, have become that which is most detestable. We do not any longer have a right to exist. The United States of America does not have a right to exist any longer. We don't. And I know that. And I know also that there are people here that have done everything they can to abuse the access they had to what the United States of America and the people of America had to offer. For who? It's kind of like six of one and half a dozen the other put together in that baker's dozen they've been going for. It's not just Americans behaving badly and selfishly. It's also foreign infiltrators that thought they would masquerade as if they had some sort of right to access what was actually authentically American and bastardize it for their own prurient purposes. And I can't help but believe they are not in their countries, but rather here for a reason. And it's not just because they're spies. Right? I have to deal with that. I have to know that that's where I am and who we've become. And I imagine that, unfortunately, a disproportionate amount of the casualties that are about to occur are going to happen in this country. So whatever your little bullshit scheme was to try to pit me against him is completely fucking irrelevant.